Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is our seventh one in the Baatcheat series, those quick chats we have about EVs and batteries.
That's right. And like we always see, China's still way out in front globally.
Definitely leading the pack. But, India's really starting to build momentum. Huge potential there with all that demand.
Absolute massive potential. It's a different stage, but moving fast.
Exactly. So today, we'll dig into some recent headlines, some key numbers from both places. Basically, a quick story form update for you.
A cheat sheet, essentially.
Pretty much. Start with China, then jump over to India. Ready?
Let's do it. So China first. Let's talk new energy vehicles, NEVs. That's your battery electric vehicles, BEVs, plug-in hybrids, PHEVs, and fuel cell ones, too.
Right. What's the latest on sales?
Well, retail sales in May popped back up over 1 million units.
Over 1 million in 1 month. Wow. How does that compare year on year?
It's a big jump. 28.2% higher than May last year.
Okay.
And maybe more importantly, the NEV penetration rate, the share of total car sales.
Mm-hmm.
It hit 52.9% in May.
Wait, over half. More than half the cars sold were NEVs.
Exactly. The shift is definitely happening. No question about it.
So who's selling them? Who are the big players right now?
Well, BYD is still number one. They had about 28.5% market share in May.
Okay, still dominant.
Still dominant, yeah. But that share was actually down just a tiny bit from earlier periods.
Interesting. Maybe that fierce competition is starting to bite, even for them. What about others? Tesla.
Right, good question. Tesla came in 8th, about 3.8% share. Now, that was better than April for them, but way down compared to May last year. Significantly lower.
Gotcha. Any big gainers, then?
Geely. Definitely Geely. They jumped to second place.
Really? What was their share?
12.7%. And get this, that's up 132% year on year.
Whoa. Huge growth.
Massive. And it's worth remembering, BYD and Geely, they sell both BEVs and PHEVs. Tesla, just BEVs. That mix seems to be working well right now.
Makes sense. Okay, let's switch to batteries. Just as big a story in China, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. If not bigger. Battery installations, the power batteries put into vehicles, totaled 57.1 gigawatt hours, GWH, just in May.
And the growth there.
Also strong, up 43.1% year on year.
Wow. And the big players are still the same. CATL and BYD?
Yep. CATL is firmly number one, almost 43% market share, 42.87 to be exact. BYD is second, around 22.5%.
And is LFP still the dominant chemistry? Lithium iron phosphate?
Overwhelmingly. LFP accounted for 81.6% of those installations in May. It's really the go-to.
Okay. Now, there was some news about automakers and their suppliers, something about payment terms.
Ah, yes. That was significant. 17 automakers, including the big names like BYD, Geely, NIO, XPeng, they all pledged something.
What did they pledge?
To shorten supplier payment terms, get them paid within 60 days.
Why now?
Well, it's partly regulatory pressure, but also it's about, keeping the supply chain healthy. With all the price wars happening, making sure smaller suppliers don't go under is pretty critical.
Right, keeps the whole machine running smoothly. Smart. Any futuristic stuff? Flying cars?
Well, electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, EVTOLs, yes, that's definitely developing.
Like GAC.
Exactly. GAC's Goovy brand showed off its AirCab. They're even taking pre-orders, aiming for low-altitude tourism starting late 2026.
Interesting. XPeng's in that space too, right?
They are. It shows they're already thinking beyond ground transport.
Okay, fascinating stuff in China. Let's pivot to India now.
Yeah.
Still emerging, growing fast, you said.
Definitely. The sales momentum is really picking up. Total EV registrations were almost 180,000 in May.
And looking back a bit further.
Over the last year, so the 12 months ending in May, India actually sold over 2 million EVs in total.
2 million. That's significant scale started to show. What about two-wheelers? That's such a huge market there.
Oh, yeah. Electric two-wheelers are a major driver. Sales were over 100,000 units in May.
Wow. What's their market share now?
They hit 6.1% penetration in the overall two-wheeler market, which is, a decent jump.
And electric cars, the four-wheelers, E4Ws.
Sales dipped slightly in May, actually. But Tata Motors is still the clear leader there, way ahead.
Okay. Growth needs charging, though.
Yeah.
What's happening on the infrastructure front?
Big steps there, too. They just launched India's biggest EV charging hub near the Bengaluru airport.
How big?
214 fast DC direct current chargers.
That's serious capacity.
And there's an even bigger one planned for Kolkata. 300 chargers. If that happens, it'd be the second largest in the world, actually. Only one in China is bigger.
Shows real ambition. What about making parts locally? Manufacturing in India?
Yeah, definitely seeing efforts there. Like JK Fenner India teamed up with NMC Motors from Korea
To do what?
to make e-axles in India
Mhm.
for electric three-wheelers initially and small commercial vehicles, but they might expand to four-wheelers later. It's all about that domestic value addition push.
But it sounds like there's a potential snag on the supply side right now, something about magnets.
Oh, yeah. This is a big one. A potential, well, crisis brewing with rare earth magnets.
Which are crucial for EV motors, right?
Absolutely essential. And the crunch is expected to really hit around mid-July
Why is it such a big deal for India specifically?
because they import something like 85% of these magnets from China.
Oh. So major dependency, is it already causing problems?
It seems so. Reports say Maruti Suzuki had to slash production forecasts for its first electric SUV, the e-Vitara, quite drastically for the first half of this fiscal year, directly because of this magnet issue.
Ouch. That sounds familiar, like the chip shortages we saw.
Exactly. It highlights that vulnerability. Automakers are even asking the government to temporarily relax the domestic value addition, the DVA rules, so they can just import whole motor assemblies for a while.
Wow. So India has these big goals, right? Like 30% EV penetration by 2030?
That's the target. They're projecting somewhere between, say, 25 and 32 million cumulative EV sales by then.
That's going to take serious investment.
Huge. Estimates are around $7.5 to $9 billion, plus nearly 7,000 acres of land needed for factories, batteries, charging, everything.
Is the government backing this up with policy?
Oh, yes. You see things like the Maharashtra EV Policy 2025. It lays out purchase incentives, tax breaks, mandates for chargers on highways like every 25 kilometers, even rules for EV-ready parking in buildings.
So clear policy direction.
Definitely. The intent is there.
Okay, so wrapping it up, you've got China, sort of the established giant, dominating sales, batteries, pushing into future tech like EV tolls, and focusing on shoring up their supply chain.
Right. Very mature, very dominant.
And then India, super dynamic growth, building infrastructure like crazy, clear policy ambitions, but facing these really significant, immediate supply chain challenges, especially that reliance on China for key parts like magnets.
It's the tale of two very different but both incredibly important stories in the EV world right now.
It really is. And maybe the big question for you listening is, as India pushes for its own EV revolution, how will managing these global dependencies, particularly with China, shape its path forward compared to China's lead? Something to think about.
Definitely a key factor to watch.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Let us know what you think, and join us again next time.